Jon, you are the youngest of us. Tell us, how do you prevent from getting exhausted and burnout?
Well, about a year ago, within a 2.5 month span, I had three major issues in church life. So I'm the lead pastor of a church, and the first one was somebody threatened the life of me and my family on a paper at the church. We had to deal with that. So that's the first one. Second one, there was two families within the same weekend that really threatened our children's director. Her name's Janae. And so all of a sudden she's feeling this weight of like these two families completely attacking her out of the blue. And then a couple weeks later, we had our worship pastor, and there was an accusation that we had to completely investigate. We had to hire outside investigator, digital forensic people to investigate the whole thing.
It was online accusation.
It was an online
and
accusation.
It became viral, right?
There was one post that went to 6 million people, and within these other posts, it went to 10 million people. So I had a friend that was in Japan that called me saying, "Jon, what's wrong? What's happening at your church?"
That's amazing.
Now, after that third one, it felt like a knockout punch. It's like Mike Tyson took me down. Bam. Just one blow. I was on the ground. Now, because we were a really healthy church, and organizationally, spiritually, our church was super healthy. But I was also very, very healthy leading up to those 3-month time span, that short time span. And these all happen in close proximity to one another. And I'm on the ground. It feels like I'm just caught off guard. But yet I awoke, I stood up, and I'm like we had to work out a lot of details. It was not fun to deal with all this stuff and the aftermath of it. Each one had very specific things that we were called to do. But we got through it with flying colors. And I think before that would have literally taken me down. But I think pushing into those 8 quality characteristics personally, but also us as a church, really helped me.
It sort of underscores why we need healthy churches, because we are under spiritual attack as a church and as pastors. And we do need a healthy church behind us, and we need to be healthy churches, healthy pastors. And I think the key really is that health does not happen by accident. It's not like, oh, I suddenly got healthy. How did that happen? I mean, it doesn't happen for us physically. Naturally, I gravitate toward unhealthy food, unhealthy circumstances, not exercising. So I got to be real intentional about exercising, what I eat, taking care of my body, getting enough sleep. Those are intentional decisions. So our spiritual health is the same thing.
We have touched something very important. I believe the application of the 8 qualities to pastoral personal life, that's an issue that has not been paid attention enough to. And so maybe that's for us an invitation to dig into each quality, how it applies to pastoral health for the next series of our NCD talks. But in the meantime, I would like to ask both of you, so what in the crisis kept you going, or what were the things that you would like to point out that you think helped you not to get down? Because there are a number of pastors, a number of us who've gone through burnout. Maybe you did not, but there is something that makes the difference. What is it?
I would say for me, it was loving relationships. I had a group of people in my church and surrounding me in Southern California that cared and loved for me. And I had you guys, you guys
Yes,
are,
I remember our conversation when I was encouraging you to transfer energy. God is doing something. It will be a blessing. You can use it for even become much more healthier. And even the viral negative may give a positive.
Okay, for starters, I did not handle it well at first. So I can't tell you that I came out of this thing, like a superstar. I was not. I did not handle it well. I was leaving the ministry. I had to deal with some anger and some bitterness. And there was some, and some of that anger was toward myself. So I'm not blaming other people. There's a lot there that I could unpack, but it was just not a good season in my life. And it took me about 2 months to overcome it. I wish I could say that I had a lot of people surround me. Of course, I did have my family. That was important. But other than that, I really didn't. It was a great opportunity for the church to be the church, but it didn't happen in that moment. So I can't say that it was loving relationships other than the support of my family during that season. But what I will say, I'll just call it passion spirituality. I think I have to connect to that. God met me in that time. And honestly, I can't say it was because I was praying and fasting. It's because we have a gracious, loving Father who cares about us. And I was angry. He should have taken me out back and given me a spanking. But I was in a very bad place. And I was angry with him, and I was telling him about it. He should have struck me with lightning, honestly. But it was in this moment, I won't go into all the details. I can tell you the whole story later if you want to hear it. But it was this moment of desperation and anger toward God where he met me in his grace and he showed himself to me. It was a very powerful moment that he said, I know where you are and I know what's going on and I care about what's happening. Let's see what we can do with the next chapter of your life. And it was a very powerful aha moment for me. And it's not like it came because of deep spiritual commitment, fasting. I was getting things in order, but it was God's grace saying, let me walk with you through this season. I care about what's going on. And I think that was a big turning point for me, as I look back at that in my life.
Love it. Anything else besides loving relationships that you can share?
I would mimic like passionate spirituality in my own life.
Yeah.
Like I was living that out
Right.
and really experiencing God in my everyday life and in my church communities, and maybe even living that out in my family, like our own relational connections, but also our spiritual families. So we, as a family, we pray together, and those things were real and authentic and inspiring. So the idea of what is inspiring relational connection with God and my family together, it was helped us through that.
I wish I could say that when I say passionate spirituality, in my circumstance, it was God meeting me in my brokenness and taking me to a new place. And to say, I really care about what's going on. And it was God's care and his grace that opened my heart up and gave me the capacity to deal honestly. And for me to know that God says, I know where you are. You don't have to have it all together for me to love you. I can help you find wholeness and deal with your stuff. And it was in response to that I began putting some things in order in my life. I began saying, okay, I need some systems and structures, and I need to meet with God, and I need to quit wallowing in this, and I need to find God in these moments and figure out his plan for me. And so that's when I began creating the systems I've used in the past, but I'd gone through a season where I didn't have those in place, and I was not in a good place. And so I think that if there's some pastors out there struggling with some stuff, God cares about where you are, and he knows where you are. He knows what's going on. Let him meet you in the moment, and he'll take you to a new place in your ministry.
There was a time when I was reading Bible how these apostles were in prison and they were at night after being beaten and they were singing and praising God, and it was like, what? It's kind of like weird, when something was happening in my life, I was leaning more towards self-pitying and feeling on the verge of being bitter, But over the years, I have learned, and even studying psychology of conversion, where I was surprisingly discovering that people who experience spiritual transformation, deep transformation, like heart transformation, they have gone through crisis, whether mental, physical, or something else, but it's a certain kind of crisis. That helped me to actually appreciate and learn and realize what disciples had after they were with Jesus, walked with him, for a couple of years. They knew who he is, and they knew how he relates to them, how he treats them, and they knew that regardless of the difficulties, injustice, or whatever was happening in their life, he's with them, and he's actually using the very bad situation for something good. And so that filled them with joy. Since then, my resilience has grown a little bit, and I'm seeing when difficulties come, like, God, what good are you doing? I can sense that something good is about to happen. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for your attention, taking me to your workshop and to work on me.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you. So it's no longer, God, why me? What is this happening? But now, God, you are at work, and wow, thank you.
So isn't that the takeaway as pastors? We are works in progress, just like everybody. And so let's let God work on us. I'm really looking forward to our conversation on this in the next times we get together. and talk about these things, I really believe that it can be an encouragement to pastors to really, within our own hearts, to say, I want to be healthy, I want to be a healthy leader. And so whatever I got to do to order my steps to make sure that I find personal health in my life so that I can lead well and bear spiritual fruit.
And how to grow in being resilient.
Yes.
Love it.
That sounds
Thanks,
great.
guys.
Yeah.